Hello, hello, everyone. Hello and welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us for our capstone event, Trust Black Women. Woo! This is our final event for our Black Futures Week, a week of programming we've provided for our community locally here, but of course we've had some virtual pieces. And we're really excited today to have this keynote discussion between El Jones and Ra'ana Ekundayo. Before we get started with this panel, we'd like to acknowledge that BLM-Sudbury is located on the unceded territories of the Anishinaabe, specifically in Swakamak, which means where the three roads meet in Anishinaabe-Moan. This area was later renamed Sudbury by settlers who came to these lands. This is Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory and is the home place of the Atipemishing Anishinaabe and the Wanapitei First Nations. This treaty territory is also home to the Oji Cree, Mishkegawak Cree, Algonquin, and Métis peoples. I want to acknowledge that the peoples who have and continue to live on these lands have resisted, in many ways, shapes, and forms, colonial violence that permeated this country for centuries and continue to thrive even within neocolonialism, actively engaging in efforts towards decolonization and striving for self-determination. Here at Black Lives Matter Sudbury, we recognize that reconciliation does not begin and end with a simple land acknowledgement. We must work to actively decolonize spaces and uplift Indigenous ways of learning and knowing. In addition, we must all aid in the ongoing battle for Indigenous sovereignty, access to clean drinking water, and seek justice for missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit individuals. I would also like to acknowledge the legacy of slavery in this country and the enslaved African people whose labor was exploited for generations to help establish the colonial lands we now call Canada. Slavery existed in this country until 1834, and it is essential to recognize how the history of this country is complicit in racist and white supremacist systems. We must also acknowledge that the end of slavery was followed by a series of ongoing discriminatory and repressive practices and laws, effects of which are still experienced to this day. Every February, we mark Black History Month, but here we are in March still talking about it. And while oppression, discrimination, and systemic injustices cannot be diminished to just 1 month a year, it is important to recognize this time as an opportunity to educate yourself, your family, and your friends on the historic contributions of Black communities on Turtle Island. So this week and this event would not have been possible without the help of our sponsors. It is because of their generosity that we have been able to thrive and present important programming like this caucus within our northern community. We'd like to thank our collaborators who have been noted on there, and I'll give you a whole list of them at the end. Our supporters and our friends who have come forward to provide support for us so that we can work for racial justice and for the work to end anti-Black violence and systemic racism in our communities. So biographies of our panel participants and a full list of our conference sponsors can be found on our website, blmsudbury.ca. We are also pleased to offer ASL interpretation for each panel for this talk today, which is provided by Sign Language Interpreting Associates of Ottawa, SLIAO. So before I do introduce our keynote speaker, a few housekeeping things. So if you're looking for the washrooms, they are up the stairs to the left. So they are up there if you'd like them. They are not gender neutral, but of course you use the bathroom you need to use as you feel comfortable. If you'd like to use the elevator to go back upstairs, you didn't use it to come down, you go through this door here and there are signs that you follow and you press 1 to go back upstairs. If you want to come down, it's B to get to this floor here. The emergency exits are located on each side here. There are 2 as well in the middle and some at the top. So funny to say these things because we haven't been in person for so long. It's to say all this stuff. So if we got to run, you know which way to run, okay? All right. So I wanted to just note, as you probably have realized, there's some weather for our southern neighbors in Toronto. So unfortunately, our keynote speaker, El Jones, is not here with us in person as we had planned. We will have a riveting conversation, though, between Ra'ana and El. And also we have some other things as well. We've ordered pizza for the end at 3:30. We'll have some coffee, etc. So we thank you for coming out in person today, even though it didn't go exactly as planned, but we still have a great conversation in store for you. So before I begin, I'd like to welcome Jen Dowdle from the Laurentian University Equity, Diversity, and Human Rights Office to say a few words.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's really great to see everyone. I just wanted to say literally a few words. I just want to say how pleased our office is, the Equity, Diversity, Human Rights Office here at Laurentian is, to collaborate with Black Lives Matter Sudbury and for their Week of Black Futures programming and this great conversation we're going to have today. And I just want everyone to be aware that El Jones will also be doing a workshop for the Laurentian community and the open community, whoever wants to attend. And that's going to be on Zoom, and you can find information about that on our Equity, Diversity, Human Rights Office website. There's information about all our Women's Week programming. And that is it. Thank you all so much for coming. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Jen. So now we're on to our main event, and I'm very pleased and excited to introduce you to the Chair of Black Lives Matter Sudbury, Ra'ana Ekundayo. I got a long thing to read here. You can just hang out right here. Okay. So Ra'ana Ekundayo is a multimedia visual artist whose practice extends between Swakamak, Sudbury, and Tiohtià:ke, Montreal, Quebec. Their work explores the intersection of art and activism, particularly contemplating the entanglement of Black culture, identity, community, and futurity. Co-founder and chair of Black Lives Matter Sudbury, Ra'ana strives for an active decolonization of every facet of their supporting calls to defund the police, abolish the prison industrial complex, and for liberation in our lifetime. Ra'ana has participated in and curated numerous arts and activist initiatives and has contributed their talents to the development of many Afrocentric artistic installations. They have taken on many leadership roles as an artist, activist, and academic, creating spaces for people of color and continually promoting anti-racist practices and social justice. They are impassioned by community-engaged art and the notion that art should be inherently accessible. They further explore this passion with ardor in their role as installation coordinator for Up Here Urban Arts Festival. A cultural curator on a quest for adventure, Ra'ana holds a master's degree in architecture and is currently pursuing a doctorate in art history, tentatively titled Futurities Without the Institution, the Emergence of Black Art and Activism in Swakamak. Ra'ana is a 2022 STEPS Public Art Create Space Artist in Residence, a Barry Pashuk Social Justice Graduate Fellow, and was most recently selected to participate in the 2023-24 Wild Seed Center for Art and Activism Black Arts Fellowship. She's also a really good friend of mine as well, and I'm thankful to have her here with me. Over to you, Ra'ana. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Before we get started, I just would like to take this opportunity to introduce El Jones, our keynote speaker for today, former Poet Laureate of Halifax, spoken word artist, abolitionist, does incredible work in the prison systems, a feminist, Black feminist scholar, and honestly, one of my biggest inspirations. So I'm super excited and blessed to be in conversation with El today. El, I know you've had a big monumentous past couple of days, so thank you so much for still being with us here today. And I guess without further ado, let's jump into this conversation and get conversing. So El, why don't you tell us about yourself and your journey and where you are today and kind of how you got here?
So thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I'm so sorry I can't be there in person. This has been a huge odyssey. I'm stranded in Toronto. I just cannot get to Sudbury. We tried in every way possible. So I apologize for being online. So physically I'm in Toronto, but in a more metaphysical way, how did I get to where I am today? So my mother's from Trinidad, and then her mother was from Barbados. So I'm from Caribbean background, and my mother's father, So my grandfather, who I never met, he died before I was born. He was actually a calypso artist, so a very political artist. He was quite a bit older than my grandmother. So he was an oral historian as well of calypso. In fact, there's a tape of him in the Smithsonian telling the history of calypso in Trinidad. So for those who don't know, calypso, particularly in the interwar period, was a very political art form in Trinidad. It was known as the kind of muse of the island. So people would take on controversial issues. My grandfather was actually threatened with charges of sedition for writing a calypso called it basically said England and Germany preach democracy, brotherly love, and humanity, yet they keep us living here in this colony sans humanity. So that was, you can perhaps see the legacy. So that was definitely part of what shaped me, coming from a family with this kind of political legacy. On the other hand is the maternal context of my family. So the women in my family very much, I live in a matriarchy. We have like one boy per generation until this generation. So there's like no boys in our family, it's all women. And those women, as many Caribbean women did and do, many of them went to work as domestics in the States or went to the UK. And a lot of the family kind of rise was based on this woman labor who would then pool their money in order to send like their younger cousins or sisters to school, for example. So my mother was put through school by her older sister. So there's a real tradition within the woman of my family of like really sacrificing yourself in labor and saving that for others. And that I think also really conditioned me. So there was like the overt politics of my grandfather and the artistic politics, but then that kind of woman's politics, the collective care and mutual aid that we really talk about now as part of abolition. And then I also would say finally that when I came to Nova Scotia, Sophie University, that was a huge impact on me as well. People like the great Rocky Jones. So if people get a chance, you should definitely read his biography, autobiography, Burnley Rocky Jones Revolutionary, which you can get from Fernwood Press. And that really tells a lot of his life. Lynn Jones, I don't want to just identify her as his sister. She was the first Black woman to serve in the labor executive in Canada. So these are the kind of people that really trained me as an activist and really taught me about how to be accountable to community. So that was really forming who I was as a political voice and also forming me as an artist as well. So those are just some of the influences. And sorry if it's a bit loud in the background. I'm like in a lounge. So sorry if you guys are catching a bit of airport. Hopefully you can hear me really well. And I'm trying to slow down and it's so hard. I'm sorry for the interpreters. Okay, sorry.
No, that's lovely. It's so great to see this passion and kind of this legacy that you're talking about of your family, starting from your grandfathers and passed on to your mother's generation and passed on to you. And it's so exciting to see how you're kind of passing this on to the next generation through your literature and your work. It's honestly, truly awe-inspiring. And I'm really excited to keep going into these questions and delving more into these topics. But, we're here today for a theme which we brought up, which was trust Black women. And we've kind of thrown this around a lot about what this means, trusting Black women, these pillars in society. And so, Elle, to you, I want to ask, when we say trust Black women, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so there's this thing I often say, which is that I feel like Black women are the most radical people. And I think it's partly because we're so condemned that when we do anything, so when we set a toe out of line, we don't smile at somebody and, we're a bitch, right? So I think because we take such harsh critique and are stigmatized so much, I think it's you do something and then you get called a bitch anyway. So then, as Lynn Jones says, well, I'll be that, So I think it encourages us to push harder because even the little things we do are treated as though we're angry and, we're dangerous and we're troublemakers. So I think part of that stigma is what politicizes us. So I think part of the role that Black women have played is these so when you look back in history and you look at just the extremely radical things that Black women were contributing that are always seen as outlandish at the time, and then decades and even hundreds of years, you're realizing how right these women were. I'll cite some examples. Harriet Tubman, an obvious example. We might remember when Kanye West said, or Ye, said that Harriet didn't do anything but free slaves to work for white people, which is as historically wrong as you could be. Because while the men of her age were talking to people like Lincoln and talking about colonizing Africa, Harriet Tubman was doing things like starting a cooperative laundry with women who were nursing in the war and creating cooperative businesses by pooling their money. So it wasn't just that she, rescued enslaved people. She had a vision for a different kind of self-determined economy. When her family wouldn't release her favorite niece, she simply went down to the South and evacuated her and rescued her herself. So we see these kind of acts where they were building the world that we talk about now. We can say that for people like Marianne Shadd, whoever we look back in history, you look at like the writing of Black women from 150 years ago, and they had this incredible like economic vision, social vision. So I think that's always the case. The Black woman is so far ahead. I was reading about Black women in Boston who started abolitionist reading circles during slavery, and they would only spend their money on abolitionist literature and basically funded the abolitionist press. And while they were in the reading circles, they'd be sewing clothes for escaped enslaved people. And so this kind of labor and this kind of history of the particular vision that Black women have had for transformative society is part of what trusting Black women means to me, because Black women get disgraced when we say these things, and we get called crazy and we get condemned. And then years later, you go back and look at Claudia Cumberbatch Jones and Zora Neale Hurston and whoever, and you're like, oh my gosh, the things they are saying are things we're just coming to now. So I think the first component I would really say is around recognizing the particular position that Black women have that has led to this really deep, radical transformation that is often dismissed and never given its due in its time. And then another piece I definitely say, I think that, another thing I always complain about, and this is not to down Black men. A lot of my comrades are men. Obviously, I do a lot of work together in solidarity. So this isn't to say that we're opposed to each other, but just to say that patriarchy also exists in the Black community. We have it too. And one of the factors of that is I often say that people prefer the work that Black men pretend to do over the work that radical Black women actually do. So this sounds harsh, but we've seen this in the last few years in particular, where on the one hand, you have people saying things like Black Lives Matter doesn't speak for me because it's women and queer people. But all the years that men were leading the movement, we as women were expected to just be like, okay, they speak for me, And then you also see stuff like the appointment of cis-titled wealthy Black men as, these unorganic leaders in Canada. And I'm not going to name names, but this has happened over and over and over again, where there's a movement on the streets, often led by queer people, trans people, and women. And then there's literally a selection of a man to become the leader to the government and to do this gatekeeping work and to basically, be in charge of grants and money and to damp down the struggle. A really great radical Black woman talked about this when it was happening in the 70s, which is, of course, Carrie Best from Nova Scotia. And when she was writing in the 70s, she pointed out how the Black Federation, whatever was the National Black Coalition at the time, how it was very patriarchal, how it was about creating this kind of respectability politics. And we see that a lot too. So I think part of trusting Black women as well is trusting our labor, trusting the work that we've done, and not trying to override it by then picking up more palatable men who can make claims to do the organizing that we've actually spent years doing and then insert themselves in our place. And that may sound like a harsh critique, but I think it's very necessary. So I trust Black women to do the work. I trust my Black elders and their wisdom. I trust what they've taught me about how to organize. I trust when women tell me that they're being harmed. I trust when Black women tell me not to do something or to do something, because I know that Black women are the brilliant minds of organizing. So I'll stop there before this turns into a 10 million hour essay, but those are immediately the things that I think are really important. So not just trusting us on an emotional level, but trusting us as well politically, and trusting us that we are leaders of this work and that we know what liberation is, and we always have in all our facets as organizers.
No, that was everything. Can we give that a round of applause? Because that was just everything. No, thank you so much, Elle, for that. You touched on so many things, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, I want to pull all this apart and just listen, but it's just like, first and foremost, trust Black women, period. And I really think like it's important for us to talk about, misogynoir and the ways that as Black women, we're kind of at this intersection of being femme, but also being Black. And like, I mean, Kimberly Crenshaw talks so beautifully about, you know, intersectionality and the ways we need to start to take into consideration these multiple identities that we as Black women have. And that's why, I mean, the first time I read about intersectionality, I was like, wow, there's something for me finally at this intersection and understanding, because often a lot of the scholarship that I was being fed was like, oh yeah, this is what it's like to be Black. And I'm like, even like the am I man, or I am not a man, and it's I was like, yeah, well, yes, it's for Black people, but I was like, okay, but like, where do women fit into this? But also then we were looking at like feminist movements. It's like, well, where do Black women fit into it? And it was like, we don't. So I'm really glad that we could bring that up. And I wanted to touch on what you were saying about the angry Black woman, because it's so right. The second we say something or raise our voice, we're aggressors, we're angry, and people are just intimidated by us. The amount of times I'm like, I get frustrated and someone's like, well, you're intimidating me, or this is aggressive. And I'm like, but if a white woman's angry, oh no, it's fine. But of me as a Black woman, the second I'm angry, it's like I'm an aggressor. And, you know, and something that I saw in this, I can't remember the name of the artist, was a spoken word artist, and she said something like, I have so many reasons to be angry, and we deserve to be angry, and gives the space to feel emotions. But it's very interesting how, as Black women, our emotions are often gatekept, and we're not allowed to have this. And I mean, that is something that I hope that we can really be allowed to do, is to feel and to love and just have our space. And this kind of leads me into our next question of, what would a Black feminist future look like for you?
Yeah, well, this is, I mean, and the interesting thing, again, I sort of threw out a bunch of names, and this is something that Black women have been living and imagining. I'm often a bit wary of the language of imagination, not because we shouldn't use our imaginations, you know, I'm an artist, but I often think that deferring to the language of imagination kind of concedes the idea that these things are an unreality, when in fact, I think they are a reality. So I say that to say that, you know, like when we say things like defund the police, it's treated like it's, you know, ponies and fairy dust, and it's this completely ridiculous thing, you know, that could never happen in our lifetimes, and we're just reaching for the moon, and we need to be realistic. And in fact, it's very practical. And what's unrealistic is to continue to pour money into systems like prisons, policing, all these harmful punishment institutions that don't work, that cost like so much money and do nothing to prevent crime or keep us safe. So that's the imagination, that if we just add more gun laws, we just add more gang laws, we just get more cops on the street, or we just get more Black officers, or we just get a couple of Black prison wardens, you know, then we'll have some kind of liberation. We're told that that's normal or practical, or being the adult in the room, when in fact, those things have been proven not to work. So I just say that to say that I shy away a little bit from the language of imagination, because I believe that we do these things right now, and we can and do them, and we have practiced them. In my province during COVID, they let out 41% of people in provincial jail, proving that jail is a myth, right? That we actually can get people out of prison, and there's no crime wave. Like, it was much cheaper, if we just want to go economic, to keep people in supportive housing at less than half the cost. So the future is also now, and we build it now. In other words, that we keep our eye on the radical vision that we have, but we also build every day. And I often say that I'm an everyday abolitionist for that reason. That when we talk to our elders about sexual violence, we're doing that work for the future. When we cook together, when we have a garden together, when we drive each other to visits at the prison, when we pack boxes, when we invite each other for talks, whatever it is that we're doing, that we're taking whatever small step, that is in the now, that we're understanding the world that can be. And to go back to my point about historical Black women, I'm always amazed anew when I read the work from, again, like Black women from like 100+ years ago, how everything we're talking about now as abolition was already articulated. My own aunts, like my Aunt Marion, you know, in the 1960s, she was in the UK. She was part of a group that had started a group about immigration rights. And then she very quickly was critiquing it for becoming very neoliberal, right? And only focusing on students and wealthy immigrants. So they broke off and really began focusing on those people who were most being deported. And I say that to say that, like, I recognize in what she was talking about in 1960, the very things I fight now in the 2020s and get shit on for talking about. And I was like, okay, my aunt was on this tip 70 years ago, and I like didn't even know, you know? Carrie Best, when you read her work, the great journalist from Nova Scotia, who before Viola Desmond intentionally went to the theater and sat in that seat because two young Black girls before her, so this is 10 years before Viola Desmond, two young Black girls had been removed from that theater. And in solidarity and protest, Carrie Best went to that theater to get arrested in that solidarity. And then 10 years later, when Viola Desmond does it, Carrie Best uses her newspaper to publicize the story. Now, we all know Viola Desmond in Canada, but Carrie Best was a lifelong organizer. She was working on Indigenous solidarities in the 1950s and 60s and 40s. Her son went on to found the PSAC, like the first public servant union, from that experience of politicization. She was running a press. She was a feminist. She was anti-war. Like, whatever struggle you look at, Carrie Best was there writing about it and articulating it. Again, like 70 years ago, 60 years ago, 50 years ago, 40 years ago. So when I look into that, I see the exact things that now we name as abolition or mutual aid or transformative justice. And our elders didn't call it that. Like, if I talked to Miss Lynn, she wouldn't say she's an abolitionist, but everything she taught me was about community healing, living within community, accountability to other people in community. She always says, go back to the community. What is the community saying? And that's the principle that we talk about when we talk about divesting from harmful structures. So I think that what's really interesting is to know that through our history, and I think it's very comforting, you know, you find all these Black women that have articulated the same things that we now name and say, this is the future we want. And they were naming it 150 years ago and 200 years ago and 50 years ago. And so that makes me feel like it is the thing to bring into being. And yes, the prison isn't going to fall tomorrow. You know, no, the police aren't going to be zapped up tomorrow. And even if they were, we just get private security forces. You know, we're not going to cede back territories to Indigenous people and respect sovereignty tomorrow. These things probably will not happen in our lifetime, but we can build that future by living it today. So what does it mean to work towards respecting Indigenous sovereignty? What does it mean to live on your territory and understand that and do your work guided by it? What does it mean to divest from capitalism in the ways that we can, understanding that prisons and police and the environmental harm, that these crises and catastrophes are a result of the original colonization of the Americas, and that also is a resource extraction environmental catastrophe. So I think that when we understand how this is all linked, then we understand, as Ruthie Gilmore tells us, that we're going to have to change everything. And so everything that we do, therefore, can be an abolitionist act, just in how we deal with conflict, in how we raise our children differently, how we learn to talk to our friends differently, how we confront our own harm. And I think those things are what give us this vision of a future where we're not engaged in punishment ideology, where we're not exploiting the earth, where we're not exploiting Indigenous people, where we're not living out a genocide against Indigenous peoples, where we're not protecting so-called our borders from people and calling it illegal for people to cross, you know, where we're not bound up in consumption that makes us hate ourselves, you know, like whatever it is that we want to name. But I very much believe that we have always been naming this, and we are also, I think, called upon to live it out in the now.
A round of applause. We're loving this. You know, it's so hard to sit here and listen to you talk and not go, yeah, and be snapping in the background like I'm like, yes, and I'm trying to stay so quiet so everyone can hear. But you're saying so many wonderful things. This idea that, I mean, as abolitionists, so often when people confront it and like people who are opposed to it, the first thing they say is, well, how are we going to do that? And it's like, being an abolitionist is not just about, you know, dismantling the police and state systems right here, right now, but like you're saying, it's how we raise our children, it's how we live our lives with intentionality. And there's so many things we can embed into the fabrics of the way we exist that come from an abolitionist standpoint, that come from a Black feminist praxis and way of understanding the world. And I think that's so beautiful. And I really implore everyone here today to really internalize that and think about what that means for you in your life and how we can move away from capitalism and these harmful systems that are evidently not working in our society, because they're just not. And you talked a little bit about this. And first, I would like to take this opportunity to plug Elle's new book, Abolitionist Intimacies. Yeah, round of applause for Abolitionist Intimacy. So a couple months ago, I had the opportunity to go to an event where Elle was kind enough to share excerpts of the book and talk about the book. And Elle, I wanted to give you the platform today to tell us more about abolitionist intimacies, and I have some questions about the book, but yeah, please tell folks more about abolitionist intimacies.
Yeah, so this is actually, it covers about 10 years of my life, so it's about a decade of organizing. So in one way, it's just a chronicle of, I think, particularly women's work on the front lines. But it's a mix. So there's stuff that's memoir, like my family history or my position. I'm about to sneeze. No, wait. No, I'm not. There's spoken word, there's poetry, there's some academic stuff. There's like journals. So it's all kinds of different writing, which is collected really from this work over the last decade. It was actually my dissertation, but it's about half of what my dissertation ended up being. So it's a cut down. And I really want to thank Fazila Jiwa at Firmo, because the vision of how the text was edited was very much her. I kind of like stepped out of it and I just let her take it. And so the structure that you see was very much done by Fazila in this very collective way. But it's really a book about fighting prisons. So I'll give, I guess, perhaps the best way to describe it is the title. So Abolitionist Intimacies, which sounds fancy. It really just means freedom and love. And the idea was that the state uses what I call carceral intimacies. And I was drawing here upon people like Hortense Spillers, who writes a lot about intimacy during enslavement. So the forced intimacies that Black women experience, such as obviously like forced rape, like raising a child that was the product of rape of the person who owned you, having to be inside the house and like braid the mistress's hair, breastfeed people's children. So this kind of abhorrent intimacy that existed during enslavement. She writes a lot about like, what did that mean and how did that impact us? Lisa Lowe also talks a lot about colonial intimacies and like imperial intimacies. So even within these practices of domination, there was always sexual intimacy. There was always people that had family members. So I was drawing upon that and looking at how the state uses carceral intimacy to abuse our closeness. So they survey visits. They control what you wear to a visit. You can't touch each other. So if you go to a visit in a prison, you can only touch at the beginning and the end of the visit, and you can't even put your hand over somebody. They control how much we visit. They listen to our phone calls. The family system is abused at border patrol, right? Like, who can you bring in? Who counts as a member of your family? They break up families and deport people. The psychiatric institutions get inside our personal homes and like very intimately diagnose us. Social work is an intimate practice, and Robin Maynard and Idil Abdullahi have written about this, how women in particular face this very intimate form of policing through things like the child welfare and social assistance systems, where they can come into your house without a warrant. They can look through your fridge and determine if you're feeding your children the right way. They can ask who you're having sex with. Is there a man in your life? They can go through your accounts. They literally go inside your body and like, are you fucking, these are all things that the state does that are carceral. And as opposed to that is what I call our abolitionist intimacies, which is our acts of love and care that move against that system. So packing the prison box, taking the phone calls, driving each other to the prison, fighting the deportation, lying down under the van, feeding each other, going on the land, like whatever those are. So that's really sort of the theme of the book, the broad theme. And then within that, there's different kinds of essays, so some stuff that's personal history. It gets more personal as the book goes on. So as we get to the end, you're getting kind of more of me. And I thought that was necessary as well, like a kind of intimacy that I had to reveal as well. So that it's not just like, oh, these people in prison that I'm looking at, but I'm also implicated in it too. So hopefully that wasn't a long explanation. It's hard to talk about your book. The thing that's interesting, I'll say very quickly, is like writing, I guess, like nonfiction as a Black woman, I have to say is very kind of interesting category. Like, there's only ever like one Black book per year that we're allowed in Canada, I think people are only ever aware of like one book. And then I'm well aware that if I wrote a book about like, oh, I'm Black and white and I'm just so lost in my identity, then I think that book would be like mad popular. Like everyone would be like, oh, like there's racism from Black people too. But when you write a book where the premise is I'm Black, that's like just like a ground fact. Like I'm proud of it. Like that's just part of my life. I'm a Black feminist. Okay, now what does that mean? Like, let's keep it pushing. I feel like people really struggle with that. So it's been really interesting kind of experiencing nonfiction as a Black woman, where you realize like people, it's not even, they're not interested in our stories. It's like, they can't even begin to comprehend the language in which we're using to tell our stories. And it's like, what is this? Like, what do you even mean? Like, what is happening in this book? And I think that's really interesting. But the kind of things that I think all Black women would find particularly complex, that I think people recognize in this book, I think have been baffling to a lot of people because Black women's voices just aren't given our fullness. So yeah, I'll say that. Like, certainly the agent that I taught to didn't fuck with this book, you know? So it's just an endless reminder, I guess, that like we're always struggling even for that basic voice.
No, exactly. Like 110%. It's one of those things where it's like, it's so interesting. You know, you were talking about being palatable and the way in which society, I mean, so much in Canada will be like, this book is great and we love it because it's palatable for the white audience and they are not offended by it, so they'll listen to it. Like I remember when what book was it? White Fragility came out and everyone was like, yes, yes, yes. And it was like, but there's been years of people writing about the same thing, Black scholars, Black femme scholars writing about the same things, and people were like, no, but not this. But White Fragility, when it's coming from this other perspective, people want to absorb it, they want to take it in, and then when we tell the harsh truth, they just don't understand, they don't comprehend, and they can't even begin to dissect the intensity of the importance of what we're saying. And this leads me to like my next question, because in your book you were talking about how your sister was like one of the first people to kind of interest you and introduce you to Black feminist teachings. And I started to think about me and my sisters and how we kind of teach each other these same things, and how I've got so much knowledge from my mother and my grandmother, and how we kind of pass down this knowledge. And even if it's like not necessarily things that people might actively see as activism, but just these knowledge and things that we as Black femme people teach to each other, and we know it's activism within our life. And I was wondering if you could talk more about this legacy of learning and sharing and inherent and not so inherent activism that we possess.
Yes, one of the things, and Joy James has talked a lot about this, how abolition has really run the risk, and it is becoming, quite academic. So, she's critiqued that even what she sort of says is the fundamental mistake of having the conference in '96 and constituting this as a kind of academic field of study. Now, obviously, I'm an academic, so this is also a self-criticism. But Joy James suggests that, we've moved our work away from the families that are most impacted by violence, those who are actually incarcerated, and then it becomes this kind of disconnected thing. Like, we're like, oh, and then we start doing everything for abolition except getting people out of prison and freeing people, So I take that critique, and part of what I was trying to do in the book was really look at where abolition lives in like the working class community. So people that wouldn't call themselves abolitionists but are doing this work. It's actually not in this book, it's in Until We Are Free. So if people buy that collection, the collection edited by Sandy, Pascal, and Rodney from BLM Canada, there's an essay I write with a young man called Randy Riley, who is still fighting a wrongful conviction. And one of the kind of stories I tell in that essay is when his mother died and we were fighting to get him to come to the funeral. So they're not supposed to send you in like the prison oranges, but they did. And so he showed up at church in the small community of Cherry Brook, which is a historic Black community in African Nova Scotia. So a community populated by formerly enslaved, self-liberated Black people in Nova Scotia with like a 200+ year history. And we're at the church for this funeral, and the sheriffs are surrounding Randy, and the community just really wasn't having it. So people just kept going up to him and hugging him. And when he spoke, he said, "I'm sorry to come before you this way." And people were like, "No." And then they resisted the sheriffs, and people just were bringing his children and putting them in his arms. And there was a point where the sheriffs realized, like, they could not hold that back. There was no way in this man's home church, in his ancestral community, surrounded by African Nova Scotians in Cherry Brook, that those sheriffs were going to keep people from hugging him or touching him or speaking to him. And they just kind of had to step back. And the community surrounded. And that, I think, is one of the most powerful abolitionist acts that I've seen. Not one of those people probably would call themselves an abolitionist or like know what it meant. But they, in that moment, they were like, and they said, like, he's our child. This is our community child. And you will not bring your handcuffs in here and your guns. And, and it was just very powerful, this community love and this sense of self that just, and there was nothing the prison system in that moment could do. And so those are the kind of acts of abolition that I really like to think about, that it doesn't have to be this huge political articulation and us writing our books. And like, there's nothing wrong with theory. Like, theory was written for us. And I go on about this to people. Like, people like Frantz Fanon wrote this stuff during a war for liberation, so we can read it, So it's not that theory is bad, but it's also that we need to connect that to how people are actually living this out. So there's just so many examples. Like I mentioned my sister, you mentioned my sister, who I used to steal her books from. She like self-liberated. She's older than me, and she began reading like Black books, and I used to sneak in and steal them. She had very early on photocopied a picture of Angela Davis from the cover of, I think it was If They Come in the Morning, a collection of essays about political prisoners, and that was on her wall for like years. So she really influenced me as my older sister, and she really took that step out of respectability. And this was in Winnipeg. And she actually got a lot of help for it. She went to a very white high school. She was like an IB. And when she started politicizing, unsurprisingly, you might imagine that the principal and stuff, like then, she was angry. She was hanging out with the bad kids, and they would like report on her and survey her to my mom. And my mom, as like this immigrant woman who wanted the best for us, would get so upset and angry and like, you're in trouble and the school's reporting on you. And I look back and I think how vicious those white teachers were, knowing what my sister was getting at home from my mom. And that's not my mom's fault. Like my mom trusted these teachers. Like if they're telling me that my daughter is not succeeding and I need my daughter to succeed, then I'm gonna, like scream at her at home because I didn't climb out of my country and all that my mom went through, leaving home at 15, being alone in London, studying, like all the things that my mom had to do. So of course, like this wasn't, my mom was trying to nurture, right? And when you have these white teachers reporting on my sister and acting like knowing you're Black is some kind of sin, that really, I saw that happen, So I just think of my sister's courage, that she was really the leader there and like took a lot of hell at home and at school for that. But that gave me a model of like, how you could self-liberate and the importance of like reading Black literature and the importance of knowing your Black feminist history. She once told me that she was in like this national debate because she like was a debater, you know what I mean? And then they had like speech contests and she did like an Angela Davis speech and she was like shocked she didn't win. Like she's like in grade 7 doing like an Angela Davis speech about abolishing prisons or something. And like, then of course she like came last and she was like horrified. So, I just think there's all those kind of examples. My grandmother, like, she had like a grade 3 education and she was like a saint. One of the things my grandmother's very famous for, and this is in Trinidad where you're behind locked gates, you have like the dogs in the yard. I'm sure some people know what I'm talking about. And she would leave her door open and like just give stuff away. And like people would steal from her and she'd say, well, they must need it more than I do. So like when she had home care, they like took a lot of like her hats and beautiful Sunday stuff that she had sewn. And she was like, well, then they need it. And she had this very like abolitionist mindset. She just really was a saintly woman, like modeled forgiveness and service and obviously through the church in her case. So I just can look all around. My great aunt that to the day that she died sent my mom $20 at Christmas that she got from cleaning floors, that she was sending my mom so my mom could go to school. One of my stories my mom told me is that when she went to England at age 15 and she could never come home, her father died, she couldn't go to see him. She was living off like an apple and coffee and trying to study chemistry because she wanted badly to be a scientist and they didn't offer it to girls. And her sister was working like as a domestic and would send her money and say, get yourself a coat, go to see a play, like go into London. And my mom saved it all. Like she didn't spend a cent of it. And then when her sister was like, I wish I could go to school and be a teacher, my mom said, I saved you all that money and sent it back. And so these kind of models, I just really grew up with this very, very strong, like maternal, matriarchal model of struggle. And obviously the really terrible things my family went through, but also this huge model of resilience. And to me, that's my main model of abolition, I would have to say, is just ordinary, like working class Black women that run breakfast programs out of their home and tutor, and the retired teacher that's like going into the jail and tutoring the men, and the old grannies in the church that like go into the jail and the young men love them so much, and not one of those people would necessarily say they have a political agenda. It's just their understanding of what we owe each other, and it's a beautiful thing.
And I think this really opened up like so much for me, this idea of like resistance and rebellion through Black love, and how powerful Black love is, and how all-encompassing. And really a lot of what, the cis-Euro patriarchy doesn't want us to do is love one another and connect with one another and kind of hold space for one another. So it's really beautiful to be able to talk about, abolition is, a community meal. Abolition is mutual aid. Abolition is, helping your neighbors and even strangers and just making space. So it's so compelling to hear about all these stories from your family and the ways in which they've done so much for the community. And they might not call it abolition, but it is abolition, and it is resistance and resilience. And it's so great to see how you've come out of that and how powerful you are, and how much and how thankful we are to be able to share in this space and learn from you. If you don't mind, I would like to read a passage from your book. I mean, you of course wrote it, so you'll know it. But I had a question based on it, but I was flipping through and I was like, I really want to find something from the book to kind of share with the audience for folks who haven't read it. And then ask you a question based on it, because I was very excited about this. Okay. So this is in, what is this section called? Black Feminist Teachers. And it's the last little paragraph before I say it was the woman. And this is the piece that I would like to share. And so you say, as I'm writing this, the mother of an incarcerated Black woman calls me. I had talked to this woman's father, but had not understood what was being asked of me. I thought the family was looking for legal assistance, and so I directed them to the Elizabeth Fry Society, then followed up with the workers there to ensure they made contact. But it was not services they wanted. On the phone, her mother tells me her daughter writes. She saw my name in an email about a panel on writing, and this was a sign to her that she needed to reach out. I'm trying to save my daughter's life, she tells me. I'm calling you as a Black woman. What she wanted was not legal services or social work or information about community living. She wanted a Black woman to simply listen to her daughter, to take her calls, and to support her. It was not help with the system she needed, but the healing work Black women have done with each other as survival for generations. Someone who wouldn't shame her daughter, who would understand her, and who would make time. What she was calling for and upon is a Black feminist practice of shared experience. And this really resonated with me because it made me think about how Black women across time and space, we are these healers, these holistic people who really bring this healing energy into the communities that we are part of. And I was wondering if you could talk more about the healing nature of Black women. And I mean, you and I as Black femme folk understand why it's so important to be heard by Black women, but I was hoping you could share with everyone here the importance and the real significance of this section.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of interesting thing about that section is I wrote it and I meant to come back and finish, and then it kind of cut off. And that ended up being like the end of my dissertation. And I say that because it's actually an unfinished story. That woman actually did pass. She got out and died by toxic drug supply. And so, that was really difficult for a lot of people because people were connecting her to services and trying to sort of, I had talked to her a couple of times after I wrote that, and people always feel like they're imposing on you. So one of the things that often happens is people are very much like, oh, you must be busy, you must be important. So even when you say, call me back, talk to me, people feel like they're pressing on you, or it's not a genuine invitation, or they're shy or whatever. So, I after that, you sort of feel like, should I have gone to her place? Should I have worked harder to reconnect with her? So it's actually a very sad story in that that healing didn't, we all missed on that one, and she ended up dying because of the kind of circumstances that exist, especially when you get out of prison and is so vulnerable. But with that said, I mean, first of all, there's so much that we experience, you talked about this, being called the angry Black woman, just the way that we're disgraced, the way that we're often seen as conspiring against people, the way that our acts to save each other are seen as aggression or violent. I guess I'll say something kind of personal here in terms of both harm and healing. So there was a period of time where there was a lot of Black people in Canada who wanted to kill me. And another Black woman. And our crime was that I listened to a phone call and she recorded it by a very powerful man who had actually committed sexual harm against me, and then was harming one of our acts of advocacy. So was basically calling us up to intervene. And so I advised my friend when he was calling her to protect herself. I said, sis, this man can't be trusted. He's already harmed me. And so she recorded the call and asked me to listen. And from that act, we were portrayed, particularly her, as the most disgusting Black woman. People said we should be burned out of the community. People said we were tools of white supremacy, because we tried to protect ourselves from a harmful man. And going through that, at the hands of a community that, we have sacrificed so much for. Like, we don't make money doing this work. So there's so many years we are out bleeding and dying on these streets and like never getting rest and taking all the calls and paying out of your pocket for people to go to school and groceries and things that we don't even talk about. And to do all that, and then people to essentially side with a harmful man who's abusing you because he's a respectable man and you're a bitch. And it was, I cannot tell you how awful it was, how painful it was, how much reconstruction work I had to do with myself. Because like part of you wants to be like, well, if that's what you want, you don't need me. I can go sit in my house and I won't fuck with y'all. Like you get that idea, and you have to reconnect yourself with your own ethics and principles. Like, why do you do this work? And it's not for those reasons. If the work's worth doing, it doesn't matter what people think. But those things are really internal journeys. And the thing I'm proud of about us is that we stuck together in that we continued to love each other, that we leaned on each other, that we didn't betray each other. We didn't sell each other out. We didn't give each other up. We didn't make excuses or like minimize. Like we leaned on what we did and we owned it, and we were right. And we were all able to move together with that. And as Black women, like being disgraced and then seeing another Black woman being disgraced in that way and being able to come out of it, knowing like with that love. I don't know if we would have come out of it if we hadn't been able to share together. I mean, I'm a bit circumspect here around the circumstances because I don't want to get, I guess, sued also. And like, that's not the point. The point isn't really who it was and what. The point is that this happens to Black women all the time, and that even the small things we need to protect ourselves or be believed or find safety, we will always, that people will find some way to make it like we're this villain. So the only person we have is the other Black women who know exactly what it's like to go through that and pick us up and call us and see us and remind us who we are and love us constantly. Whether that's elder Black women, whether that's your friends, younger Black women, like just Black women alone know what it's like to live that. And they know what it's like to live that at the hands of our own community. And much as I like going through that was a terrible thing, I'm very proud of us as Black women that we found each other in that and that we stayed strong. And I think that it's a revolutionary force, that Black women, the minute we raise our voice, the minute we advocate, the minute we do these things, we are just, the violence that is brought upon you, like from the state, from people in office, the way you'll be blocked from stages, the way that, your book won't see publication, the way that people will talk about you. I've been run up on the street. My right-wing local tabloid drew me like a monkey and, harassed me, like followed me around for years, like doxed me. I couldn't go anywhere. They'd take pictures of me on the street. They would like screenshot like private messages, like to be under that all hours of the day, which is what Black women enter when we raise our voices. Same thing when I started doing poetry and I was crazy and angry and militant and I hated white people and I got banned from stages and, you will always have that. And if you fall into that, like you will hate yourself and you will lose track of yourself. So Black women are the beacon that takes us back to ourselves, because then you see other Black women doing it. I can't tell you how comforting it is to like read Audre Lorde and she's going through the same things, or you read Carrie Best and Carrie Best was making the same points I was making. I'm like, well, if she made them, they can't be wrong. When you read about Claudia Cumberbatch Jones being exiled and you're like, well, if she could live through that. And I always say this, that our greatest geniuses have gone into this cause of fighting colonialism and asking, like, when the soldiers touch down, when the slave catcher touches down, when the queen touches down, when the corporation touches down, what are we going to do? And that's our greatest brilliance as a people, have left us that work. And sometimes that's the only thing when you go into that book and you read what another Black woman had to say who's gone through the same thing and she survived it and she wasn't crazy and she was right. And you're here reading it. That, I think often that's the only thing that keeps us going. So sorry for kind of personal answer, but yeah.
No, that was so spectacular. Let's give a round of applause for that. I really want to thank you for being so vulnerable and upfront and sharing and just educational and inspiring and just everything, honestly. Like in this moment, I'm just like taking so much in because, I mean, like we said, this is the last event of our Black Futures Week and we're in the beginning of Women's Month. And I think this is one of my favorite times of year because really like Black History Month is going on and someone will say something to me, I'm like, not during Black History Month. And then Women's Month starts, I'm like, not during Women's Month. And it's like, I get this beautiful time. So I'm really fortunate to be here and sharing this with you. And you really hit the nail on the head of this. People treat us like we're crazy. We call out these forms of oppression and these things we're dealing with, and they really treat you like you're crazy. And when you read about it, you start to feel like I'm not alone, and this immense bond of sisterhood and connection that we're able to feel is truly beautiful. And it's something that is just so spectacular that we can all kind of sit in together. And I think about being around my mother, a Black woman, and sometimes we won't even talk about racism or sexism. We're just together, and there's just like this look we'll give each other, and it's like, I know, I feel, and we can share. And it's just like, earlier this week, we watched a film, Dear Jackie, as part of the Black Futures Week, and there was one speaker, and she just sat there and she said, I'm tired. I'm so tired of everything that we're dealing with. And she was a Black tap dancer from Montreal, and she was talking about how exhausted she is and how it's so hard for her to convey this energy. And it really made me think in it, because I'm like, when my friends come to me and they're like, I'm tired, and I'm like, yeah, you didn't sleep well or whatever. But for us, it's like this constant exhaustion of what we're going through, and you really start to see the resilience and the power and the divine energy that Black women possess in fighting through all these levels of everything and pressing up against the glass ceiling and breaking through. And it's just so awe-inspiring. And I have one last question for you before we open it up to the audience cell. And this is one of my favorite questions to ask people who awe-inspire me. But I'm like, through all this work and the trials and tribulations and traumas that we deal with, I want to know what grounds you and what brings you joy, and how do you keep doing this day after day?
Yeah, it's funny because you sort of said this at the beginning about you, and this is the same thing. Like, people be like, oh, so many people have told me that, oh, I told somebody I went to dinner with you, and they're like, weren't you intimidated? And you're like, yeah, that's stage. Just because you see me doing a poem on stage, it's a part of me, but obviously I don't spend my whole life doing that. So yeah, I have really, really strong friendships, and part of, if you read my book, a lot of it is constantly sort of quoting. So people inside, and people like, Desmond and Adil and Robin and my partner, like, I'm surrounded, Lynn, I'm just blessed to be surrounded by so many people that are such sharp thinkers, and funny, so like we're often on the phone all the time. Sometimes we're organizing, and sometimes we're just chatting shit, which is actually a really important part of organizing. So both as a strategy, but also as it keeps you going. Like, you have to be able to trust the people you're working with in really intimate ways. And the way you build that, you can't just jump into organizing with people. So when we were organizing against the deportation of Abdul, like, that was intense. We were fighting the state. We were standing up, like, Takumo, his sister, was like literally standing up against Trudeau, like physically at a town hall in front of Trudeau. We had conversations. I talk about this in the book, where we would say, like, if we have to lie down on the runway, will we do it? Like, yes. If we have to fly into Somalia and smuggle this man out, will we do it? Yes. Like, if we have to drain all our savings, yes. And compared to that, once we had talked about that with each other, everything else we had to do and did do was comparatively less. But we were able to do it because we trusted each other. We talked everything out. We would have like 8-hour conversations on the phone, and we would work out everything. So there's just such a love and trust, and like, we weren't in lockstep. We had disagreements all the time about what we should do, or like what was a good tactic. But we were able to, like, because we knew each other, and we knew how people respond emotionally, and we knew how this person acts when they're stressed, and we knew, like, because we had that really strong knowledge of each other based from eating together and talking shit together and joking about things and hanging out and dancing together. Then when it's time for things to get really serious, you have that background. So part of that joy is really important as an organizing tool. You can't just jump in and work with people and do these really tough things, and then you don't know anything about the people you're doing it with and think that there's not going to be conflict. So you have to know how to work out your conflict and your quirks and know what bothers people. Like, all of that is really important. We do that by just living and loving together. So I'm big on, like, yeah, my friends and, my comrades and the people that I work with. This one's weird. I'm a runner. You may have caught that if you read the book. And that's really interesting because, like, it's not Black people. I'm like the only Black woman in like the running group of 150 people, which is interesting because I find running like very liberating. Like, even just the way you take over the streets, and like, you run on sidewalks and you take up space. And so doing it with like white people is kind of interesting too, like how you just get to run through places and like, get checked, and like obviously a way that like a group of Black people can. But I actually find that very liberating because it's in my own body. So running depends on me. Like, if I get up to do the work, like what goals I set for myself. And I think that's powerful because in so many institutions, as we know, we do the work and it gets taken from us, right? Like, we write things that's not recognized. We labor and everyone goes, well, didn't everybody do that? And you're like, no, actually, you know, we're never allowed to claim our own work. And especially with things like activism and academia that can be really toxic. That work can really be appropriated away from you, and you spend so much of your labor just trying to hold on to the things you already did. And so I really like the physical world of running, where like no one can take that from me. Like someone might be better than me, faster than me, whatever, but in me, I'm going to go to my capacity. So I think that's really important, like getting in touch with our bodies as Black people and taking up space and like going in nature, you know, like I've dragged my partner along on hikes and stuff, and he's just like, what? Like, what are we doing? You know, but I like it. So stuff like that. And then just like, you got to laugh at yourself, you know, like I'm a very serious person, I think publicly, but then if you know me personally, I'm like not, you know, and I think that's good. I think we have to laugh at stuff, and then we have to be able to laugh at ourselves in the end as well. Like if you can't poke fun at yourself and kind of be like, oh yeah, I remember that time when I was going off and I was doing that thing. Like we have to have a humility about ourselves too. And we have to take ourselves kind of lightly, I think. Like our ethics and integrity should be taken strongly, but ourselves should probably be taken lightly. So, you know, just like having a good time, you know, like in whatever that looks like. So like this is very, very serious work. And I think when it's time to do the work, we have to be willing to really sacrifice for it. You know, like you make a commitment to people and you have to follow it through. And that means like fighting the prison and fighting the deportation in ways that will, you know, like are difficult. But amidst that is just like, we can't lose touch of the joy and the laughter and the love and like just leaning on each other that way. So.
Oh, thank you so much for that. That's spectacular. Let's give that a round of applause.
I guess I should have said poetry and art.
I know art's one of those most beautiful things, and I think like, you know, you're talking about movement, and I to paraphrase this quote I heard, it was something like, a Black body in motion is the greatest form of resistance. And I was like, yes, you know, every time I move and use my body, it's so spectacular. And also I'm like, shit talking is one of the greatest forms of healing, honestly, and I'm like, I encourage everyone to do it. But thank you so much, Elle, for being in conversation with me. I feel so fortunate. I'm going to hold this with me forever. And at this point, I would like to open it up to the audience. If anyone has any questions, there's 2 microphones in the aisles, and I highly encourage folks to come up and ask any questions that you might have for Elle.
And I want to say, sis, thank you so much. I know this got dumped on you, like holding the stage by yourself and like trying to rebook hotels and flights. So people don't know the kind of behind the scenes chaos that y'all were just handling with so much grace while like I'm getting stranded on planes. So I just really thank you for the patience and generosity and love you showed me. And I know how hard this has been, like when you have a plan for an event but you've just done it so beautifully. So everybody please clap for just the amount of labor and work and love that went into trying to make this space one way and then pivoting and still making this space. That takes so much. So I really appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you so much. And at Air Canada, our eyes are on you.
Yeah, Air Canada. Air Canada is anti-Black. That's true.
You said it. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, we got someone over here. Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much for your talk. That was wonderful. My question is kind of about something you touched on. One of your points about your aunt being in an organization and then that organization kind of turning neoliberal. How do we prevent our institutions and organizations from turning neoliberal kind of in that way when our society is kind of neoliberal like that? And even our measures of success are sort of framed in this neoliberal outlook.
Yeah, no, that's a really, and I wish I knew the answer because then I wouldn't spend so much time enraged. And you touched on like some really good points, which is also in ourselves. And not to keep pointing back to my book, but that's actually the last chapter that I try to think about, which is difficult. You know, I come from an immigrant family, and those of you, my mom's like the traditional immigrant, like wants you to high achieve. And so I fight that in myself, right? But when I wasn't done my dissertation, I didn't have like a permanent job. I felt like a huge failure. Like I felt worthless. Even though I knew that the work that I was doing mattered and was important and, you know, people wanted it, at the same time, I didn't have this recognition from the system, and I still fight that. So And Leanne Simpson said that, Beto Samasaki Simpson said, like, of course everybody wants, like, we all want the awards in our book to go #1 and the praise and everybody wants that. We're a liar if we say we don't want it. But the question is at what cost, right? So it's very, very hard when there's these wages of white supremacy laid out for us, the positions, the money, the stuff, the vacation, the rest, and we can have that. And all we have to do is give up our principles, and then we can convince ourselves that we're not actually giving up our principles. And actually now we're being an adult and we've matured. And yeah, when we were kids, we went and screamed at the meeting, but now it's time to be an adult within the system. And these are all things that happen. So I think first is we have to build those alternatives for ourselves so that we have something to call upon. So that when the government comes knocking with their grant money, when we're asked to take this position and move away from our community, what is holding us back? What connection do we have and what relationship that offers us a counterweight? So I think we have to really intentionally do that work to build the things that will sustain us when the system isn't sustaining us, because it is very hard, no matter what your actual belief are, no matter what your politics are, when you see other people getting the praise and the awards, and you will feel like, why not me? Why not me? I deserve that too. Why not me? And then everyone will be like, well, why would you think it would be you, like the way you carry on? And that may be true, but it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. So we have to lift each other up, give each other the awards, give each other the praise, read each other's books, platform us, when we get the opportunity, who are we bringing in for the speech when we get a chance, so that everybody who's doing that work has their moment of feeling that it was worth it and the people saw them. So I think that's really, really important. And I call on myself to do that too. I'm not exempting myself from that. I'm at a university, so what am I doing to put university resources to people that are doing this work in a real way so that they feel seen? And then, it's hard because we're living in this age of Black capitalism. I frequently go on this rant about, what did we get post-2020? We had the biggest uprising against policing. Why did the only things we get become business and entrepreneurship? I'm sure you've all noticed that as well. Were we in the streets for loans to businesses? Weren't we in the streets to get rid of the police and to stop them from killing us? Isn't that why we are actually getting arrested and getting beat down and people were dying and bleeding? So how did we let that happen? That we frittered that moment away into more Black people on banks, boards, and more Black capitalism and getting the bag and more money from the government. What do we think is going to happen when we get a new government, which will be Poly-M, and he doesn't want to give us money and all that stuff's cut off? How are we going to organize then? So I think that they do that on purpose. When there's a movement, when Black people are on the move, we're being effective when some gatekeepers are put into place, when the government starts throwing money around, when they start giving us little apologies and recognitions, because they're trying to slow our momentum. And it's the young people that get out on the street and don't give a fuck and go for it anyway. And young people will always go for it and are the spirit of the movement. So we have to not be afraid to do that. And we have to be not afraid to be relentless, even though people will be like, what do you want? Or be quiet, they're giving us stuff, just shut up. We have to be brave enough in those moments to continue on our path and hold our vision in mind. We really have to listen intergenerationally. As you get older, there's definitely that trend to be oh, the young people, what are they doing? And so we have to push ourselves as we get older to not believe we have all the answers and to be really open-minded about learning from the younger generations and not condemning and putting down young people, because young people are always going to be doing the thing that's going to take us to the next spot. So I think that resists it. And then, I think we just have to really be organized, because that's happening right now, that we're seeing money thrown around us from the government. We're getting all these new organizations every single day. And the question we have to ask is does that bring us liberation? And we can't be afraid to voice that, even though it will get us called, hateful and jealous and crazy and all these things. But oh well, the liberation of Black people is more important. So I wish I knew the answer to stop it, but I think we at least, and read our history, because in these moments, when I read Chris Haney talking about the ANC, back in the 60s, again, our biggest geniuses have already talked to us about this, what they experienced, what it looks like, so we can at least recognize the patterns if we're aware of our history. We see it coming, we understand what's happening, and then we have to find each other and organize together. So what you guys are doing right now is an important piece, where you're finding the space to organize together. And that is a resistant piece to some of the more colonial appropriated forms of organizing.
Wow, just wow. I think that's spectacular, this notion of being unapologetic and unafraid and just doing what we can do. I think that's something that me as I get more into activism, my parents are so worried. At first they're like, yeah, keep going. And then we got to a point where my dad had to sit me down. He was like, well, someday you might not be able to say defund the police and fuck the patriarchy every day. And I was like, but why not? And it was just like so naive. And I was just like, I don't understand. And he's like, okay, but like maybe you should. And then he was like, no, you just look so happy. Never mind. And I was like, yeah.
And that was when you do that, and probably when you don't get a job because of that, what Black professor sitting on a hiring committee that's going to make sure you get a job or that you finish your PhD, right? So that's what I mean, that as we get more so-called successful on these colonial terms, that's not a bad thing, but we should be putting the resources in those places. So think about, where am I? If I'm in the bank, can I do something? If I'm in the university, can I do something? So it's not that we can't have nice things and we can't have jobs and we can't have salaries. Like, we don't have to go live in cardboard boxes to, and people often use that against us. Oh, if you're like a real socialist, like, why are you living in a house? Like, we deserve to have shelter. We deserve to have rest. We deserve not to have our labor exploited. But when we get to that space, I think we just need to ask ourselves, and how can I put this for somebody else? And I think that's how we fight things.
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Elle. Does anybody else have any other questions they would like to ask Elle?
Thank you, Elle. I concur. It's been a fantastic, it went so quickly hearing from you. I wanted to ask a question. So I'm part of Black Lives Matter Sudbury, and we're organizing together, and I wanted to ask about how there's such a stigma for people specifically who've been incarcerated to share that with us. And then sometimes we often find out, someone who came to your demo was in prison. And so, we're like, yeah, of course. But, the fact that people feel the need that they have to come tell us these things, I guess I'm just wondering how you organize on the ground with folks who have various histories. How do you make that very clear and open in the work that you do? How do you move forward a bit more to start breaking down that stigma? Because, we organize with Black and Indigenous folks. We don't know their backgrounds, but, the probability of people having experiences like that are high. So just wondering your thoughts about that and how we can do better in that realm.
Yeah, I mean, this is always, and like, we've all fallen into this trap. So, if you read my book, sorry, I shouldn't be like this. When we were doing the deportation fight for Abdul, he committed a serious assault. And we did sort of lean in, and what I'm trying to say is, like, we did use rhetoric like he's been in Canada his whole life, but that is actually harmful rhetoric, because it doesn't matter if you've been in Canada one day or your whole life, like, you are no less deserving of rights. We did kind of deliberately use pictures of him as a child, but that was certainly a move to innocence, because we were like appealing to this white public, like, hey, look at this like 6-year-old child. And I think we need to be careful when we do that stuff, and the media will fall into those narratives. So when we were doing decarceration for COVID, we didn't say non-violent people. We said everybody who can be released. So I think it's hard, because sometimes we're making strategic choices, so Abdul, because it was about child refugees, it very much was about childhood. But the danger of that was it fell into this innocence narrative. So, okay, Black children, okay, Black man who's committed an assault, bad. And doesn't work that way. We fight that when we're sort of trying to get rid of, so right now with the battle against provincial detention for immigrants, right? So for people on immigration detention. But what we don't want to suggest is there's some people who belong in prison, right? So we also have to be careful about the way we strategically use language. And then just on a practical level, like, I just always say, meet it head on. Like, the right wing likes to think they have something on us. So if we don't say it, then they feel like they discovered something, like, haha, did you know this person that talked, like, committed an assault? And then they feel like they got one on you. If you acknowledge it and like own it head on, like, I think we just have to own our stuff and not be afraid. There's always going to be a narrative out there. People will always find a way to delegitimize us. And if it's not that this person has a record, it will be that we look weird, we have blue hair or something, they'll find whatever. So, like, if people don't want to listen to what you have to say and they want to find a way to diminish you, they will, and it's nothing you can do about it. So you can try and be as respectable and perfect and dot all your T's, and they'll still find something. So the best thing we can do is own our values and own our principles. Yes, people are speaking at this rally and they have criminal records. If they've harmed people, they need to be accountable for that, but that doesn't change their humanity, and this is what we're working for. So we proudly own that these people have been incarcerated, and we're moving forward together. Like, we can't fall into walking our actions back. And that often happens, that the right wing in particular creates some narrative, and then we're expected to be like, oh, no, not those anarchists. Oh, no, like, that was a mistake. Oh, that was just someone who showed up, and like disown all this stuff instead of saying like, well, why are you bringing this up? Why are you not confronting this? What about your, so I think we need to like stop being so afraid of these right-wing framings and narratives and just really own our own principles. So that means we have to know our principles, understand our principles, reassess them, reflect on them, and then stand on them. And if people don't like us for that reason, then at least they don't like us for the right reason. They don't like us for what we actually say and believe. And oh, well, I'll take that. I'll be that.
Period. So unfortunately, we have eaten up all of our time today, and I just want to thank you again, Elle, for sitting in conversation with me and sharing in the space and sharing so much wisdom and vulnerability. And to everyone in the audience today, thank you. And my only closing remark is, you've heard what she said, you heard what we were in conversation with. Trust Black women, period.
Good, everybody. I want to thank the interpreters. I know I talk really fast. I'm sure that was a nightmare for you. So thank you so much for all of your energy. Thank you to everybody doing the tech, all the last minute scrambling, and just Black Lives Matter Sudbury. Like, what a beautiful group. I'm so glad you exist. I'm so glad you're organizing. I hope to be in person with you sometime, because I'm having massive FOMO on this Zoom, but I love you all. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Alan. Thank you for that. So what a fantastic discussion. Thank you, Anna, for moderating those questions and for being in conversation. So thankful to have you as part of this conversation. So I wanted to also thank all of you for attending. I do have a few things to say before we get to the pizza, of course. So we'd like to thank all of you for attending. Hope you've enjoyed this week of events where we have envisioned our Black future, and it is, of course, fabulous and wild. I want to thank our amazing volunteers who, without their dedicated time and commitment to the event, we met every week for 3 hours online together. So, and we'll be meeting again probably after this one. So we wouldn't be here today. So I want to thank, we're so lucky to have you all. Selena, I want to make sure I don't forget anybody. Selena, AJ, Ev, Isaac, Lauren, ER, and Ra'ana. Thank you all. Sorry.
And Shayna.
Oh. Oh my God, I thought I forgot somebody. Thank you all so much. Working with all of you every year. This is our 3rd year doing this. It's been fantastic. And yes, as Al mentioned, this morning was a little bit of a runaround, but we got it sorted, and this event has been really great. Really great. A thank you to Cassidy, our technical coordinator, who made everything run so smoothly. So where's Cassidy? Oh, there's Cassidy. Thank you, Cassidy. And thank you to the techs and IT folks. I know that there were some worries, but you came in with a background plan, a backup plan. So thank you very much for that, and thank you for all the work as well. So once again, a big thank you to our sponsors. We would like to thank our collaborators, Canadian Race Relations Foundation, Réseau Access Network, Laurentian University Equity, Diversity and Human Rights Office, and Black Lives Matter Canada. Our partners, YWCA, the Coalition to End Violence Against Women, CMHA, MacEwan School of Architecture, and Cambrian College. I know I have to slow down. And our supporters, Future North, Yes Theatre, Blackbird Studio, Compass, Boussole, Public Health Sudbury and Districts, Health Sciences North, and Papaya Pops. And thank you for our ongoing support for racial justice and the work we need to do to end anti-Black violence and systemic racism in our communities.